Anyway, welcome back to Gear and Beer. Cheers. Or toast, as some people say. Today, my guest is Andrew Sovine of Nashville, Tennessee.
Hi. From here.
Sprouted from within. What's up, dude? Thanks for coming all the way out here.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for coming all the way from Nashville.
To
Nashville from Nashville.
That's a bit of a hike from Nashville to Nashville.
That's fair.
Thanks for having me.
For sure, man. When people talk about gear, you're one of those guys.
I'm very much one of those guys.
And,
much to the chagrin of my wife and most of my friends.
Well, everybody's got a calling, man.
Sure.
And you just have to go with it. You know who you are, and you are you.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do anyway.
Yeah.
To, again, perhaps the chagrin of lady and friends, but it is what it is. Today you brought some toys with you then, of course. We got your board here.
Yes, we do.
I often try to film pedal board footage, and something just seems to always go wrong, so hopefully this will make it through to post for once. That'll be cool. Couple guitars. Acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
2 guests in a row that brought an acoustic, and we have not had that before, which is crazy because acoustic guitars are great.
Yeah, they really are.
I don't have enough of them.
There's always one more.
I need several more. I've got...
No, but that's how many you need. It's just one more.
No, touche.
Always.
I like the... this man he knows what's happening.
I'm always acquiring.
Hey, man, it's like the pursuit of what you're playing, so goes the pursuit of how it sounds. And,
no, that's true. Yeah.
And especially a person who uses effects and just sounds in general as creatively as someone like you, the technology just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a vintage guitar, but
oh no, this has got this is the new Helix.
This is the new Line 6 Helix guitar. The Helix Jaguar is a great guitar.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Yeah, it's like they went all the way, got the relicking.
Yeah, totally. They had they consulted Bill Nash about relicking it.
Yep.
We had Carl Lindquist brought his Bill Nash relict R8 in here.
Oh yeah, these things are. There's like a certain price point for me.
Same.
No, just like, and I mean, just generally with gear and stuff. It's like, I do a lot of utility gigs too, and like, I've got a lap steel over there with me. I'll show you later. But
awesome.
As soon as I started doing the utility thing, when I was like 19, whatever, touring with a gospel band, it was like, we just play an acoustic and electric, and then they're like, hey, we have a banjo. Do you want to play a banjo? Well, I don't know how to do that. And then they're like, well, here's this chord book. It's an 8-hour drive to the gig, so just go hang out in the back of the bus.
And it was like,
after a while, it's just like I started, now I got to get a banjo, now I got to get a mandolin, etc. And it's just like I've had this conversation with a lot of other friends of mine, who do utility work. It's like it's really hard, if you're just a guitar player. If you're like, okay, like I don't know, Jim Campolongo, for instance, like. He's got that 59 top loader Tele or whatever, and it's just like, or 56 or whatever, and it's like, it's perfect. And I mean, he's got a few other guitars, but like what he does is like that can be his guitar. Okay, that's the guitar he plays because that's what he does, and he doesn't have. But man, if you're doing if you're doing session work, or if you're doing a lot of work for different bands and artists and stuff, you gotta have the variety.
Other people's tones.
Yeah, you gotta have. You got to have a bit of variety, and then especially if you take that and you put it on the utility thing, where it's like, man,
that runs away from you pretty quick.
Well, yeah, it's like you got to find that there's that balance. It's just like, okay,
I need all these things.
Yeah, you start playing mandolin on a professional level. You start trying to, and you're like, oh, I need a mandolin that can record or that can, stand up for like the road.
Right.
You're not getting that for $800.
No, you're probably not.
So. Yeah,
things like that get pretty expensive pretty quick, for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I mean, it's finding that balance. It's just like, I mean, I've got a lot of really cool, wacky vintage stuff, but
Guitar is one thing, though. Mandolin is something that's a different animal. Not a lot of people making mandolins at any quality, much less the variety that you can get a guitar or a bass, or even to some degree a steel guitar.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's same with it's like any acoustic instrument. If it's designed to not be used acoustically,
sure.
It's like, man, that's a whole different animal. It's just like, for years I would just, when people would call me for acoustic gigs, I would just be like, nope, here's 5 phone numbers. Like, I'm just not. That's not my thing. I never had a good acoustic until I got this thing, and just realized no, I know my limits, man.
Well, hey, that's wise too. Even Anthony Jackson, it's like somebody calls him to play slap bass, he just gives you somebody else's number because he doesn't play slap bass. He's Anthony Jackson. He could play slap bass if he wanted to. He just doesn't.
No, that's actually my favorite thing to do. Is like when someone calls me for like a record or to like overdubs or for session or whatever, or even just the gig now. It's just like, if it's an artist I don't know, I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta cover the tunes. Like, well, who's the producer? When I figure that out, like, I'm not, either it'll work or it won't. And it's just like, it's like, gig's great, that's fine, but it's like, if it's gonna be a thing where, if I can't show up with this or like with what I want, with what I like, and what I feel comfortable playing, and make that work, it's not worth it for anybody. It's a waste of everyone's time for me to be, not playing to my strengths and not making a positive experience for everyone else. And whereas like, they can call you.
Yeah.
It's like,
and please do.
Yeah.
Call me.
Yeah.
Call me.
Yeah, but anyway, that's a bit more philosophical.
No, I love it.
Talk, so.
That's you run into around here a lot of people in situations that they don't want to be in because they feel obligated to by whatever rule of, if somebody calls you for a gig, you just take it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I think we were talking earlier, like off, before we started recording. It's like I'm still very much like in that mindset of like the 22-year-old hungry kid, trying to get every gig he can. It's like, oh,
well, gigs are fun.
I can't, but it's like you train yourself when you're really young. It's like can't say no, because
then
that's how then you won't get called, and that's how you get the career. And it's just like, well, dude, I've got a career now. It's like I can say no, or just be like, or my favorite thing now is just like trying to price yourself out of it, where it's like, okay, well, I'll overshoot, right? I'll just say like, oh, I'll do it for this much. There's no way they'll pay it. And then sometimes they say no. And it's like, that's great. But sometimes they say yes, and then you end up having to do the gig anyway. And you're like, should have asked for 300 more, man.
You hear that? You heard it here first. Ask for more money, people.
This is
know your worth.
Yeah.
Hashtag know your worth. Hashtag know your tone.
Pro tips for total pros. It's a offshoot podcast of the network.
That's good. Yeah, that won't be debuting soon. So keep watch. Lyndon McCarty over there twisting and tweaking as per always, sitting behind the incredibly bright lights that make it difficult to see him. That and camera tripods and microphones. Many technology mediums between your face and ours. So tell us a little bit about this guitar. Are we good to make noise already?
Oh yeah, we're rolling on
He was just putting it down. I was like, well, don't do that. You have it in your lap, by God.
Yeah, I actually just got this a few weeks ago from Carter Vintage.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
I played it. It plays beautifully.
Yeah, it's a 65 Fender Jaguar, not a Variax guitar. That was a joke. And the guy who owned it
was a good drum break.
The guy who owned it before me, he bought it brand new, and he played it in a bunch of like R&B bands, backing up, just like touring acts, pickup band kind of thing.
Sure.
And I found it, and I've never liked Jaguars before. I've never like wanted to own one because I was just it's like short. It's like short scale. It's like whatever. It's like if I'm gonna get a 24-inch scale, I'm just gonna get a Birdland or something, And and it's like, but I went and played it, and I was just kind of like immediately floored, and like
Sometimes they just speak to you. It's a beautiful thing.
But it's like I picked it up and it's like, it's got this great like buckle rash.
Yeah, buckle rash is my
like
fave.
Ton of thumb wear, and the arm wear is really fun because, motherfucker was wearing a suit. So like, how much you playing? How much do you have to play?
Well, it used to be sweatier back in the day.
Well, yeah, but polyester don't breathe, so it's just like
friction.
But
probably
yeah,
a wool coat.
Yeah, well, it's possible. Yeah, but yeah, he said he bought it in '65, played it with it for years and years, and then just like decided to get rid of it a while ago. In the case was a letter. Like he's like, to the new owner of this guitar, this is when I bought it. This is who I played it with. Is like, keep the dream alive kind of thing. And then there's pictures of him playing it.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty rad.
It's a little weird, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's like, how often do you...
I say weird. It's like...
it's jealousy is what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's super amazing. That's cool.
No, it's just... It's...
Well, it's not something you get you're not going to get that at Guitar Center.
It's totally a grandpa thing to do.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's like,
it's sentimental, I think, is the word that I've been searching for.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for that shit, man.
Sure.
It's just like, I'm super, like, I love anything that's got a story, whatever it is.
Humans love stories.
Yeah.
I love stories.
Yeah. I am human. I'm a people.
More human than human, as Rob Zombie once famously said.
Oh, I went with I'm a People, which was a George Jones Dallas Fraser tune. I mean, it's not a very good song.
I don't know it.
Well, later. We'll get to it later. Okay. It's pretty funny. No, okay. But yeah, it's all original. He swapped out the bridge at some point, but like in the case also with those pictures of him playing it, the original bridge, and it's got the original mute. The pick guard has shrunk. I am sure the foam under the pickups is plastic by now. So as soon as I can put it down for a couple of days, I'm going to have Dave Johnson.
Get the old once-over.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to... the bridge pickup's a little weak, so I think I'm going to get it rewound. But okay. I was showing you like earlier, it's like, if you look at the heel, like that laminate board, it's like, it's almost gone.
Yeah.
Just the guy played it, it's probably had a couple refrets. And
it's awesome. The more you play it, I think the science consensus is that the more vibrations put through it, the harder the wood gets, the better it sounds. Just like with the older the guitar, it often's more resonant.
I remember that episode of Bill Nye.
Yeah. It came on PBS right after the Red Green show.
Are you thinking about Traffic Lights?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with this programming.
The Red Green Show is a show that was on PBS, I don't know, 25 years ago or more.
Yeah.
I just remember it.
Maybe a Texas thing?
No, it was definitely a British show.
Oh, okay.
And it was just on PBS. That's national, right?
I mean, yeah.
Is it regional as well?
Well, it's like
Mr. Rogers, whatever.
It's like public broadcasting talk with.
Welcome back to public radio.
No, it's like, I think it's like it's a regional. It's not a regional thing, but it's like they have like the local stations. Like in Nashville, it was like Channel 8, and each station would like, there's like national programming. So like if you're a PBS station or like an NPR station, you have like the flagship programming, like your morning shows, your afternoon shows, whatever. But then like all of the
Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street.
Yeah, like that could be that'd be like national syndication, and then but then there's other stuff like other programming where it's just like it's a local station. So it's like, I mean, same with like Channel 4 here or whatever. It's like there's local shows. I know a lot about.
I'll be sure to link the Red Green Show in the show notes.
Yeah,
that's not happening. I apologize. I'm very easily distracted.
No, that's all right.
Let's hear that guitar.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So.
London engineer. Hey,
what up?
Is he centered up now?
Nope. I can center him up, but I have him set like the aux was. So it would be 57 all the way left, and then
cool. That's fine.
Fathead all the way right. I kind of like
Yeah, I love that.
The width of it.
All right, so what in the hell do all these switches and
Okay.
You already told me, and I need
Tutorial.
to know.
I've been told several times, and I've retained no information.
I've also been told it helps to own one.
I would like to. I want a Jazzmaster, and it's similar circuitry, right?
No.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Jazzmaster is a 3-way switch, like for your pickup here. Same rhythm circuit.
Okay.
And then a master volume and tone. But the Jaguar it has the rhythm circuit, which we'll just talk about that. So master volume and tone. So the rhythm circuit turns the neck pickup on, bypasses everything else in the circuitry.
Oh, okay.
And it has these rollers, which is volume and tone, just for the rhythm circuit. So, like, if you're doing, like, a few weeks ago I was in Austin doing this, like, jazz thing. That's, I play jazz. I am not a jazz player.
Same.
But, like, so it is just, it's just
That
instant.
sounds amazing.
Sounds great.
Buttery as hell.
So you can roll the tone back all the way. Or you can roll the volume back all the way. So, like, but it's just the neck pickup. So you turn that off. Then these switches, neck pickup, bridge pickup, mid-range cut. So subtle. That you can do, like, both pickups.
No cut.
Yeah, no cut with the cut.
Those are both great sounds.
Yeah, and so
That's just bridge.
yeah, so it's just the bridge pickup. And whatever dumb reverb.
And the
patch
mid
I've got.
cut it affects both pickups.
Yeah, it'll affect both. And but they're also like reverse polarity, so you can kind of.
What is that? Does that just create a different sound? I don't know anything about reverse wound. Just,
Well, so it hum cancels when you have both on. So like if you have a telly,
if it's got dirty power and you need to shut it up, you can.
Within reason. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Light noise or whatever.
Yeah. So it just gets rid of it gets rid of the 60 cycle because it's canceling each other. That's it's the same concept as a humbucker.
Sure. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's just
Makes a lot of sense.
and then the tremolo. This is like so it's a 65, but it's like February 65 when this was built. So before everything went weird, So like, because like in August 65 they started doing binding on the necks and the fretboards became super thin.
I wonder
like a laminate.
Never mind. No, I don't have any 65 Fender stuff. I have 65 Gibson stuff. I'm sorry.
That's a totally different thing.
Yes,
that
it
I
is.
know nothing about.
Same, really.
But yeah, man, it's like I've been playing this guitar. Like I was playing with a rock band last week at a couple festivals and just used it on that, and it's like in instant hipster street cred. And also it was just a really good deal. It was affordable as vintage Fenders go. But yeah, man, so that's a cool one.
Affordable. It's great. It's a great descriptor for me. I like that one.
Yeah, I'm really trying to get rid of all my cheap shit and turn those into like 3 nice guitars.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
I have cheap stuff, but it's not cheap stuff that is worth anything.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get rid of it anyway because I like it.
Yeah.
So anything that I could part with isn't.
No, yeah, sure.
You know.
Yeah, I've kind of done as much purging of guitars as I can right now.
I don't think I've ever gotten rid of a single guitar.
I'm on that journey. I've got 3 guitars that I'm going to turn into one nice guitar.
Oh, dude, I sold a Jazzmaster and a bass and then like some old monitors I had just to get this thing, and it's like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, it's not the Jazzmaster sound, but it's like it's a lot of the same itches get scratched.
It's a very versatile sounding guitar too,
and it fits in a regular size gig bag.
Oh.
Are those straight up regular single coil?
Yeah,
maybe Strat style from what it looks like.
Ish.
No?
They've got this like claw on the outside of them, and they're a little bit bigger coil.
Yeah, they sound darker than a Strat.
So the
pickup.
claw has nothing to do with the. Is it a mount or is it?
It's a mount, but
Is it a like welded to the bottom of the pickup?
Yeah,
like plate style.
Yeah, and I think it would be if I were gonna put on my Eric Johnson nerd hat, I would say it probably affects the tone in some very positive way that only Jaguars can do. But
it's obviously not the P100, the Jazzmaster.
Well, that's not a P100.
It's
that's
not?
a spec. That's a very specific, only for that pickup. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like it's a real thin pickup configuration.
Okay.
Small bobbin, like that big, and it's just like a lot of windings around it. So it's a very
for the Jazzmaster.
For the Jazzmaster. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, it's sort of a similar idea. This is just more of like kind of for the Strat thing. It's like I think their original goal was like when they put this out, when they were doing like the surf guitar stuff, like the Ventures and whatnot. It's like, I think they were just like, oh well, somebody that maybe if you're of a smaller stature or whatever, get the 24-inch scale, and you can do more of the upper rhythm stuff or like the lead guitar stuff, and then the Jazzmaster could take more of the like lower end things. I don't know, I wasn't there, guys. I wasn't in the R&D meetings.
I invited you here because I thought you knew.
Yeah, boy, well, that's I'll go ahead and leave now.
You can't leave, bro. We haven't even had tacos. I have so many more questions.
Yeah, so much more. Anyway, cool guitar, I love it, and I'm a fan. Okay. And I got pictures with it, so that was kind of the selling point. Like, in one of the pictures, I was trying to figure out what amp he was playing, because I was like, oh, it'd be cool to get like track down the same amp from like the same year,
find his vibes.
Yeah, just like okay, Mojo, right? Because I'm a sentimental motherfucker, and so like, it was one of the Silvertone 610s, like the 1438s or whatever, or 68s or whatever, and the Jack White amp, and and I noticed that it was like him, the other guitar player, and the bass player were all plugged into it, and I was like, oh man, this had to have been like, and the guitar looked really nice, so I was like, oh, this is probably like 66 when they were doing that, and I was like, what did that sound like?
That's crazy.
What did that sound? Well, I mean, like if you look at the old Vox AC30s, like I've got an older AC30. It's got 3 channels, 2 inputs apiece. And the original idea with those was like, and they had the trolley stand, or like the big stand to get it off the ground. So I guess the original concept of those is like, it is not just a guitar amp; it is a guitar amp
and front of house
and a PA system. Yeah. So it's like you would have a microphone would go in like the high gain or the normal channel. You do the lead guitar in the top boost channel, and you do the rhythm guitar in the vibrato channel. And it's like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, you're a band and you can only afford like the 1 amp, whatever. And it's just,
I would imagine that electricity was harder to come by too, so you couldn't go plugging in 8 things. I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows what the circuitry was like in post-war Britain? I mean, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah, well.
Gear and beer.
Okay, so you told us about the guitar.
Yeah.
I've been putting like cuts to these. I wasn't doing that at first, but it makes more sense to do it. So
interstitial with like dog videos.
Well, that's a good idea. I usually just do the logo and the stupid
Starwave.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to start writing short stories and doing the Star Wars scroll in between segments. Okay, so badass guitar.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next component here. That's the obvious one that's sitting right between us.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about your ammo box full of circuitry.
Well, this is a 50 caliber ammo box.
50 cals have better tone, I've heard.
Well, yeah. No. Well, so it's really funny. It is a very popular. There is a certain subculture of the gear world, guitar player world, where it's like, back in the 90s, I guess, people started figuring out that like these old film projector amplifiers and PA amps from back in the day. Yep. the circuitry is pretty close. Like most of them are like really close to like an old Fender 5E3 Deluxe.
I don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of those, like the old Newcomb PA head that I used to have.
I know very little about the world of the small circuit.
Yeah,
amps.
it's basically like, you know, a 5E3 or like a 5E3 or like a Champ. You know, it's real simple. Yeah, real simple circuit, but it's like, you know, volume tone,
10 watts or something like that.
Yeah, like depending on the power tubes, like, you know, 8 to 12 or 15ish. You know, so yeah, like around that, like, you know, single-ended, whatever. So anyway, this is a Filmosound 385, which is like, you know, if you're into Blake Mills and Dawes and, you know, or Gideon Boley, this is the one.
I like Gideon.
Yeah, Gideon's great.
He's my favorite of those three.
Yeah, me actually.
I don't know very much about Dawes.
Yeah, no, I would say me too. Like,
Blake Mills is awesome.
Yeah,
I just don't know very much about him either.
We'll talk more about it off mic.
Hello. Welcome back to Hot Takes with Andrew.
Yeah, don't roll for that. Star wipe. Okay. Yeah. So this is I wanted one, and if you get one, like Satellite Amps was making one version of this, like the circuit, and just modifying it a little bit. And I was looking for one, and I bought like this old Newcomb PA head from Jed Hughes a few years ago.
Okay.
And because he had just gotten a couple of these and he was like, oh, I found the one, whatever. And then I just didn't want to pay the money. Again, I'm kind of cheap when it comes to certain things. You know, it's just like, it's a lot of money for like a thing that like it's not really the Swiss Army knife that I need for like.
Exactly.
And especially at the time, I was like doing a lot more more mainstream country work. I wasn't really doing a lot of, you know, cool hip stuff.
Vibe.
Or whatever. Yeah, vibey things. But I found this like a thrift store, like the amp itself, and checked, you know, had a Leatherman with me, so I could I unscrewed it, like make sure all the components were there, check everything, and so I bought it for really cheap, and I took it to my amp tech, and he did some modifications and everything to a little bit to the circuit, and made it to where it's like a little more, you know, friendly for guitaring, I guess. And and then, you know, and then I put new knobs on it, and then conveniently the 50 caliber ammo can, it fits perfectly inside.
It sure does.
Yeah, and so I just
snug like a bug.
Yeah, man. I just got a drill press and cut some ventilation holes and got the mounting holes on the bottom, and so it just stays there. And now flying with it, that can be weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, like
Didn't
TSA thinks
they're like,
yeah.
I
mean, it goes through the conveyor belt, and I could count on one hand.
That's very carry-onable.
Yeah, well, it is very carry-onable. It's just you get a lot of funny looks. I can count on one hand the number of times I haven't been stopped about it, and have 4 fingers left over. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
But
it's cool, man. I think I was telling you guys earlier. It's you know, it's a simple circuit, but there's a lot of variety of tone with that. And then,
totally. You should show us some.
Yeah. All right. It might get loud. Not really a great movie. I mean, yeah. So that's pretty much your standard. Oh, here's my clean tone.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Andy. But you can crank the volume. Crank the tone. You can do kind of a voxy thing. Yeah. And I think I was showing you guys earlier, you can kind of do the Neil Youngish kind of.
Sounds wonderful.
It's great, man. I love it. And usually at home, I just kind of keep it on my desk and
Tweak as necessary.
yeah, it's just like I don't really have to. That way, I just keep a cabinet in the closet and just don't have to worry about swapping amps. And just like kind of do most. I can do like 90% of like overdub stuff. You know, it's like if it's like for somebody in Nashville or someone doing like an Americana thing or whatever,
Right.
it's like that works because that's pretty much they just want something. So, and then also, there's a mothership down here.
Yeah,
I can
well,
take care of, so.
that's where we should head next.
All right. Well,
hopefully, I won't lose this GoPro footage. However, that keeps happening.
yeah. Let's see.
Probably because I'm great at this.
This is my small board. I'm not joking. Actually, I had a bigger one. I had like one of those like PT Pros or whatever, like the big 30. Well, when they first started making the Terra, like the 30, like the 3-foot wide one.
I haven't even seen that.
I don't know if they make it anymore. But as soon as they came out with, I had a deal with Pedal Train for a long time. And as soon as they came out with that one, I was working with this band that was like Nick Cave meets Scissor Sisters meets like, I don't know, LCD Sound System thing. Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
I think I have some tracks I could share with you, but it's like pretty cool. That's a pretty good descriptor, but it was just like, it was like lots of sounds, right? So I was using a stereo. It was like a dual mono rig. It's like I was using like an AC30 and like a plexi half stack, just like a big fucking loud band. So I bought and as soon as they came out with this like 3-foot wide pedal board, I was like, well, okay, I'll take that. Like the Rode case. Like everyone thought it was a keyboard because it was it was like 4 foot long.
Yeah, really long. I bet.
And like it was the board was wide enough that like you had to take a step to get from one side to the other. Like there was no way you're like I'm like tapping the delay on the left side. Let me just get over the volume. I mean, there's no way. It's just like your center of gravity.
That was probably pretty expensive to fill up.
No, I had all the stuff already. I'm always like buying pedals. Like that's the one thing I just like, oh, there's a pedal I don't have. Oh, okay, no, I have it. It's just like I always have stuff.
That can get expensive these days, but with your rule of X price point, it probably stays okay.
That's where I have exceptions.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Which is unfortunate.
That
for
is
my,
unfortunate.
Yeah, bank account. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but like a few years ago, I decided I needed to kind of figure out a way to pare stuff down. And just get everything kind of like, okay, what's my desert island stuff? What do I actually need for like every gig? And I've been kicking and screaming into like the digital pedal world. So the Line 6 stuff is like, man, it's a game changer. And it's like, it's like
it just sounds so much better now than it once did.
For sure.
Especially because
like,
I'm in that camp too.
Yeah.
I'm very kicking and screaming about it.
But like, dude, do you really
want screaming?
Well, do you really want a chorus pedal on your board all the time for the once a month you might use it?
Man, I don't do gigs that I need that ever.
Well, yeah.
I have one chorus pedal. It's right there, and it's broken.
Yeah.
And it's been broken for 5 years.
Yeah, well, but you could throw it on. You throw it on the board sometimes just to make it look like you're trying.
I wish it wasn't broken because chorus function aside, the little preamp in that MXR stereo chorus, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Real fat.
So I mean, that's
I feel your pain. I apologize. I ramble.
No, I'm the same. No, I'm the same way. I'm exactly the same way. And that was the thing. Is like I had a really cool chorus pedal, old Ibanez digital stereo chorus, like one of the
Freeze or
it was one of the 10 series. So it's like it's a weird looking one.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's like
I used to have some Ibanez sound tanks.
Oh yes, this is before that. This is the 80s pedal.
Okay.
Those are really
the
cool.
old boxy ones.
Yeah, with the like weird tank tread pedal.
Most distortion looking.
Yeah,
ones?
same
Copy.
box. Yeah. But yeah, so I had one of those, and it was like great. But it's just like it's like well, it takes up space. And like same with like reverbs. It's like none of my amps have one of my amps has reverb. Like every one of them is just like I've never owned an amp with reverb or an effects loop, or anything like that. So just like it's like just everything just goes in the front end.
Do you like using effects loops?
I've never used one.
I used them I tried using them on like PV Classic 50 when I was younger, and it was probably operator error, but I didn't ever like the way that it functioned. I have one on the Matchless. I don't use it.
I've never understood them. I think it's like because I'm not relying on amp gain, and if I am, I'm relying on it as an effect. So like a specific sound I need to record. Like I've never gone to a gig where I'm like, at some point, like the amp needs to be, I'm also not a very good guitar player, so that might have something to do.
You smell that? It smells like bullshit.
Yeah. I know that smell.
Yeah, I'm just fishing, guys. No, but like I think there's like certain guys like look at like Derek Trucks or whatever. It's just like he's okay, yeah. Put the super on 7 and or 8 or whatever, and just like ride the volume knob. Great, cool. I would love to be that guy. I'm not that guy, and it's just one of those things. Same with like effects loop stuff. Like I know a bunch of guys that like are depending on like amp gain, especially if you have multi-channel amps, like 2 or 3 channel amps.
I don't like those either.
I'm not a huge fan. I did have a diesel for a while. That was a weird time in my life.
We mentioned before we used to have blue Voodoos.
The crate thing, yeah.
This is 5 podcasts now that we've mentioned.
Probably because they're worthy of mention. Shout out to the blue and gold blue Voodoos.
Man, I remember what was the ad that used to have in Guitar Player, and it was like the dude from Our Lady Peace or something like that, like laying on a wall of them.
Interesting.
I never had the amp. I had the cabinet. I had a 412.
I'll be waving my. Sorry,
no, I don't know. It's like
that was Our Lady Peace.
Oh, all right.
I like that band. They had 2 really big songs, and they were good. And then they had a bunch of other good songs that were not as big.
Oh,
Canadian band, I think.
Typical Canadians. They're probably still massive in Canada.
Probably.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, I think if you use it, but if you have like a 3-channel multi-gain amp, and like then it doesn't make a lot of sense to throw a slap back into that or delay. So it's like I get it for that context.
Sure.
But it's like that's just never been something. It's like I'd rather do it. I'd rather like especially like doing recording stuff so much. Like I'd rather just like reamp the signal through a delay after the fact and like make it sound weird. That's more my speed.
Sure.
Than like pristine, front end tones, and then like only have modulations and stuff in the back. So, but I digress. Anyway, pedal board. This one I can fly with.
That wasn't really a digression.
Yeah, I actually have a question.
Yes.
So you tend to run like you reamp with delay?
And depending on depending if I want a certain like effect or whatever, it's like like on I don't know if you use like the Apollo Twin. Like I have that for like my travel rig, but I also use it for at home with like in conjunction with my like 8XP or X8P, whatever the 8 channel,
I don't even
whatever.
remember
The other interface I have.
I think it's actually called P90X.
Yeah. Boy, that was a time.
Shout out to P90X. Tony Horton.
No, so what I'll do is I will use the Apollo Twin and take like out 3 and 4, and I will run that into like a stereo delay, like the Strymon or whatever. I'll run that into a stereo delay.
You get the little Y pedal for the or the little Y cable for the input.
No, because like it's got a stereo input.
It's like stereo out.
If you do stereo, it's a stereo out, so it's an output 3 and 4 of on the preamp.
But I'm saying, don't Strymons only have a mono input?
No, this one has a stereo input, and the Volante does.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that pedal.
The Timeline has stereo input as well.
Okay, so it's
like
the little boxes.
Yeah, and then like the little box, but like I have done that to you before, like on like I've got an old Pictronics Ecolution. It's analog, it's kind of like a memory man on acid.
It's a really big pedal, right?
It's sizable. It's about the size of the Strymon.
I feel like I recall. I don't know why, but I recall seeing that on your board at Paradise Park one time.
Probably, yeah. That was like that's my go-to still. Like I've bought 3 of them. Every time I sell it, I immediately regret not selling it. And I'm just like, I need another one, so I'll just track it down. So I think I'm done getting rid of them now. But like, so what I'll do is I'll run the signal out of like out 3 and 4 into either with a Y cable if it's like an analog delay or whatever. so into the pedal and then out into like inputs 1 and 2 on the
Right.
twin. And then you set up you set up a stereo channel in your DAW, and then
Do you tend
you
to
know,
set up a wet dry thing, or is it just kind of like, here's the effect and I'm going to go 100%?
well, usually if I'm doing that, I'm wanting like specific like weird noises.
Especially on the Volante, I would.
Yeah, so I'm just wanting like weird noises. So I'll just have that on the desk, and I'll just be manipulating it as we go. And it's like more for like an effect thing than like, I want to run it through a different amp or whatever. It's not like reamping is like very like heavy air quotes.
I guess I find it interesting because like I don't know that you would necessarily ever. It's hard to like, I think, imagine the effect that you're going to put on it while you're laying the track down.
Yeah,
just kind of like you have a track and you're like, this track needs to get weird. I think I'm going to reamp it with delay.
Yeah, I mean, I do that. I just do that all the fucking time. So
yeah, that's tight.
Just, like, it's a fun trick. Actually, there's a guy out in California. It was like the first guy like showed me like, you can do this like with the twin like really easily, because I think a lot like a lot of that consumer level like interface stuff is
like that one.
Well, but like one of the things is like you get that and you're like, okay, well, it's not the good one. I'm not getting like a Lynx or whatever. I'm not getting like the 16, and so like you immediately start like putting these limitations on your gear because you're like, I can't do everything I want to do. And it's like, well, there's so much that you can do with that. And it's like, I think like this is my general philosophy about like recording, guitar, just gear, just generally. It's like, man, it matters less about like what it is, and it's like, do you know how to use it, and can you use it to get the effect you want? It's like, man, like I was doing I still sometimes will like mix sessions in Logic. And I just like, I mean, I usually use like a different, I'll still have to use Pro Tools a lot of times just for like, I'm sharing a session with someone, but I'll use like, I will, I've been using Luna a lot, like for the last, year or so, just like doing a lot of records on that. And like, the thing with like, with Logic is like, man, those built-in plugins, it's like, you could do an entire record on Logic with just their native plugins and be fine.
And people have.
Yeah, I have.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I've done there are songs I have mixed for people that I will never tell them that I do not use any UA plugins.
Oh man, I've absolutely done at the very least demo.
Oh yeah.
Like every piece of the demo was.
Yeah, it's all about
Logic.
like it's like knowing how to use it, and like the moment that like cemented in my brain about like, it's not the piece of gear, it's how you're using the piece of gear. We were when I was still playing with Ashley McBride, I guess like 3 or 4 years ago now, we were opening up for Brad Paisley, and we were sound checking, and I have this fuzz pedal that I really, really love. And
What is it?
We'll get there.
Okay.
I have this fuzz pedal turned on, and it's got this cool kind of octave thing, it only really kicks on it when you turn the neck pickup on or whatever, so it's like, it's a cool thing. And Paisley's text, like, changing strings and something, he's over at his station, and he comes up to me, he goes, man, is that a Tycho Bray? Is that like an Octavia clone or whatever? And I like looked at him and was like, oh, it's the black box there. And he looks down and he's like, what is a super fuzz? And I was like, it is a Behringer pedal that I love and I had rehoused. Like I paid XTS to like rehouse this $19 fuzz.
You paid
pedal.
more for the rehousing.
I paid, yeah. But it is a great sounding pedal, and it's like I love it so much. And he was just like, I couldn't tell if he was like upset because he just walked. He just like didn't even say anything. He just walked away. And I was like, but like, he thought I had this like $1,000.
You thought you had a unicorn?
Yeah, he thought I had like. He thought I was like running out around like a fuzz, like a real fuzz face, like an Eric Johnson style or whatever, and it was like, oh no, this was like $20, and it costs more to put it in the heavy duty box. Then it was like, yeah, but it works, and it was like, I mean, that $19 pedal is on. At least 15 albums I've played on. And it's like,
sounds good. Sounds good.
If it turns on and it makes noise and it works, and it's the thing. It's like, I mean, I did a tour several years. So the other thing is like, I did a tour several years ago where it's like, man, it was just like, 5-piece band. We're doing a lot of, kind of like basement, punk show kind of situation, like real DIY thing. And we only had we had a minivan. So it was like a thing where it was like, well, we got to pack the drums and, got to get a decent bass amp, whatever. And I was just like, hey, just call everybody and just like make sure there's a guitar amp there. Like preferably 2, but like, like 20, 25 watts minimum, whatever. And so it was like 2 weeks show every day. And it was just like, different amp every day. And like, when you're doing like backline for like, festivals or something like that, it's like, oh, okay, cool. You can kind of get pretty close to specs. Like, oh, you get like a twin, you get an AC30.
About to say, easy to get an AC30 or a deluxe or something.
Fine. When you're doing DIY house basement shows for like hipster kids outside of Pittsburgh, that tends to be harder. It's like
it tends a little more wide.
Yeah, way more surprising. And you're like, I remember one time.
Here's a Gibson Nighthawk.
Well, yeah,
Half the power section doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Or something like that. It's just like, oh yeah, my brother's got an amp, and it's just like, a B52 half stack or whatever. It was like, yeah, that was one of them. And it was like, and then the other one, there was one that's like, have you ever seen those SG amps?
No.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, so it's one of those things like, but like, yeah, I mean, it works. You can find the tone. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. I like nice things. I like fancy shit. And it's like, this board is it costs a lot of money to put together. But I also, it's like, I'd be fine. Like, I've done it. I did a gig the other day where I just pulled the HX effects off, and I was just like, just took that and a guitar and an amp, and like, it works.
Yes, but a great artist can paint beautiful pictures with a single black ink. But give them a few colors, and who knows what they can create. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, but I also think there's so much emphasis on like, nice.
It's nice to have a healthy understanding of both.
I mean, what's the thing? It's like,
if you understand the minimal, the maximum becomes that much more useful.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, I say this as someone like holding a vintage Fender guitar
on a show called Gear and
yeah, but it's like
a podcast.
Yeah, my
getting ahead of myself here.
My P bass is a Squire. And it works, and it sounds like a P bass, and it's just like, it's like, and I think this thing is like, it's just it's not what kind of tool it is. It's like, do you know how to use that tool?
100%.
Anyway.
Fancy or cheap? I totally get it.
Yeah. All right, should I run down these pedals?
Yeah, take us through.
Okay. So, your friend and mine, Brad from BTPA.
Hi, Brad. Brad Bartos. Shout
out. He. So I kept. This is a mono pedal board that I got from them a few years ago for some TV thing or whatever. It was just like free. Oh, can I get a free board for a TV thing? And they're like, yes, you can. I'm like, cool.
You are listening to the Gear and Beer Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Bobby Jam's Kitchen. Want to take your home cooking to the next level? Need new recipe ideas or meal inspiration? Like, follow, and subscribe to Bobby Jam's Kitchen on YouTube and Instagram. At Bobby Jam's Kitchen. Cook your food and eat it. I forget what we were talking about. Let's talk about this pedal board.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So,
got a bunch of cool shit on there, half of which I have never used.
Well, that's better. Like,
let me rephrase that. Half of which I have never heard of.
Okay. That's usually
most of which I've never used.
That's usually what I get.
I've used the Pitchfork.
Okay. All right.
I've used the Mjolnir, but not that version.
Yep.
That pretty much concludes it.
Okay, all right.
I mean, look at my board. I've got like
I
don't do Nashville things with it.
No,
per se,
yeah.
but it's kind of a Nashville
It's
board.
very much like, yeah, you got your Nick Greer, you got your Paul Cochran. Yeah, I mean that's.
I got my Boss,
your Boss
EQ, my GEQ, bro.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get one of the XTS ones, man. Whenever they have one, you should go check them out. It's like they're the mid.
I've heard them; they sound great.
So good. So
I love that one.
No, that's great. I mean, it's great as is. I think they just made.
I bought it for $75. It's a great pedal.
Yeah, I think they just made it a little. I think theirs are just a tiny bit better. You know?
Okay. Well.
Anyway. Okay. So bored.
Bored. You're bored. We can stop.
No, not hashtag not pedal bored. So at some point I stopped using pedal train. I don't know why. I think what it was is like I had some mini pedals, and like if you try using mini pedals on there and you got to turn them sideways, it's just like you run out of space, which is like no slam at those guys. Like John, the original owner and founder of that company, is like, man, he's always so good to me. He's like, way back when they first started, I was trying to figure out, I would call him and be like, hey, I want to figure out a way to put the power supply under the board. And so he was like, come over to the shop. And like back then there was no space for it. The rails were like all squared. So he and I, like, we drew it out and marked it out, and he just took a fucking Dremel to my board, and like we made it work, and just like, and awesome. Just zip tied it and everything. This was like, man, I'm old. Anyway,
dude, I feel you, bro. Feel you.
So at some point I stopped using it or whatever, and I got this mono board, which is like, it's cool. It's got a lot more space on there for like, weird configurations, and it's, it's lightweight and everything. But our friend Brad Bartos at BTPA, Bestronics, they were making these patch panels for pedal trains. And I asked him, hey, will you make one for my mono board? And he said, no. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, he wasn't that. I think there was a conversation about cost benefit ratios, but I asked him, was like, well, do you think that you could help me figure out a way to mount it on this thing, because it's totally different. Like, there's no clearance in front or whatever. So I got one from him, and then that is going through a Empress buffer underneath the board, so it's like a buffer loop through the whole thing.
Empress, great stuff. I have their trim,
and I've got the TrueTone CS12 one spot power supply.
Oh, okay.
Like the big brick.
Yeah,
those guys are. There's another company like I've been working with since I was a teenager. When Bob's first started it, like my first professional pedal board was just like every pedal they made at the time and a tuner. And I'm
still waiting on my first professional pedal board.
Well, yep. So anyway, there's a buffer underneath there.
First?
Yeah.
Right away?
Yeah, it's the first thing. I mean, I guess, because it goes through, it's just a loop for the buffer. So it's just,
okay.
Honestly, hot take over here, I don't think they make a fucking difference unless you're like going
big runs of cable.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a loom and you're like doing like an arena thing or whatever, and you've got to run like a 75-foot cable loom back to your amp or like your wireless unit or whatever, sure, fine. But like, man, if you're under 100 foot, it's like, and I mean, yes, going through, but there's so many buffered pedals and mixed in with true bypass. It's like,
about to say, the buffers and the pedals alone is usually fine.
Yeah, your Boss tuner is a better buffer than most of the ones they sell, for like $100 or whatever.
I have one of those Korg, those big silver tuners.
Yeah,
people really like that buffer.
10 or whatever, DD10.
Is that what it is? Something like that.
Those are great. Yeah, the buffer, that's great. Anyway, so buffer is honestly really just there because that way I can keep all of the cable, like I can keep all of the cabling neat and tidy underneath. Well, neat and tidy underneath. But this is a Fender compressor, the Benz, which is my favorite compressor pedal I've ever had.
Because of the radio head?
Well, the Benz. No, because the Benz is like so like when you're like way back in the day when they would have the diving suits, like the big like heavy
Oh,
diving
yeah,
suits.
yeah.
The compression, they call it the bends because your body would start compressing in weird
Interesting.
and fucked up ways.
Like
So-
as you're descending, yeah.
That's why you
because-
can't return to the surface super quickly because
Yeah.
then you get the bends and
Yeah.
die a
You'd
super
die.
horrible death.
yeah.
It's also a great record.
Your head explodes. Yeah. Wouldn't you listen to the Radiohead record as well as when you gum up too quickly? So, but yeah, it's I really like I like it and I keep it on all the time and I have a very real logical reason for keeping the compressor on all the time, and that is because when I was younger, I found on YouTube a video of Adrian Belew running through his guitar effects on an instructional video, and he said, and I have this rack mount Dynacomp compressor and I keep it on all the time, and that is why I've just never all right, so when I got a compressor the next day and I was never turned it off.
It works.
But yeah,
The hell with the rest.
I like this one, but I like this one too because in addition to like having like a blend knob, like a dry wet knob,
Yeah. Oh,
and the
yeah,
recovery knob, it also has like
I'm not interested in a board compressor that doesn't have a mix knob.
yeah, for sure. But it also has a drive, so you can kind of crank the output, which is pretty cool for like I don't use it much for like live stuff unless I'm doing like if I'm going and doing a gig where I'm strictly doing like lap steel or something like that, and I can really just kind of But
sure.
the drive's pretty cool, and I mean it's actually a pretty good sounding like a little preamp at that point because like if you want to do like a Lowell George thing, it's kind of nice.
I want to do Lil George things.
Don't we all?
I got a tip yesterday to play Little Feet. Doesn't happen very often. By God, we did Little Feet.
Which one?
Willin'. That's what they wanted to hear.
All right. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you still do the slidey things.
I would have rather done something like Lonesome Whistle. Or,
See, no. Here's the thing, though. I mean, if you're gonna do the Little Feet thing, like really fuck with them. Like, do Fat Man in the Bathtub.
There's a fat man in the bathtub.
Or you do the
with
live
the blues.
You do the live version of
Dixie Chicken
with the
where
piano,
the
where the whole band just walks off stage for like 5 minutes while they do the piano thing.
I love it.
Or go even weirder and do like do the whole thing as like we're not gonna do a Little Feet. We got one that's pretty close to it, and just do like a Robert Palmer song from like Sneaking Sally through the
Yeah, I'm
Alley.
about to say Sailing Shoes or something.
Yeah, like his version of Sailing Shoes with the meters. Fuck, man.
Hey,
so good.
Do you know post Lowell Little Feet at all?
Oh yeah.
So
dude, Fred Tackett, man.
Somebody calls Little Feet and you play Texas Twister, a song which kind of sounds like it's about statutory rape of an underage girl.
Well, that was a little redundant, but yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the first pedal.
Welcome back to Legal Tips from People Who Look Like Caleb Mundy.
He is my attorney.
Of course he is.
No, I mean but I actually pay him.
Oh, do you keep him on retainer?
I think technically, yeah. he's on call. And then I have a Pitchfork, which is cool because it can do things.
That's what comes right after
after the compressor. It's cool because it does the POG thing.
Yeah, kind
close. Yeah, I have the original POG, like the OG POG, and I think it tracks better, and I think it sounds better. I think the low pass filter on it is far superior to any subsequent version of that.
Which one is the original one with the little sliders?
It's the big Memory Man size box. And it's like silver.
It's got octave below, two octaves below, octave above, 2 octaves above.
It's one below, one and two up.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking of the Hog.
Oh, okay. I thought that
isn't that
the POG. Well, the POG 2 has 2 octaves below.
That's the one.
That's the red and white one.
Yeah.
This one's the original one's like silver.
The black and silver.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a memory. It looks like a Memory Man
copy,
right, kind of thing. And then, but it also has 2 or 3 LPF modes, and then it's got like you can like bring in the filter. So you can't do like presets or anything like that. But it also has like input gain, and it's all analog, and it's just like, man, it
sounds really buttery and fat.
Yeah,
tracks
like,
really well as a result.
Really
I
great.
bet.
Tracks really great because like there's no latency on it because it's analog.
Sure.
The later ones, I don't like them. Is that a call to prayer?
That was some sort of siren.
Yeah.
I thought it was a weird sounding airplane.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
welcome back to Gear and Beer. Weird sounds overheard.
So yeah, the Pitchfork, it does this octave up thing. It does the octave down thing. It's okay. It serves its purpose. I think it's way
do you do faux baritone stuff with it? That's what people love to do with it.
Yeah, I will. And but
it
a lot of times what I'll do is I'm using it for like a faux 12-string thing because like the reason why it's even on there right now is like I'm doing this few gigs this weekend and like a tour coming up with this band where I played on the record and I have a Mando guitar, like old octave 12-string. So I did a lot of that stuff, but it was just like it's one tune on the record, and I'm like, I'm not bringing it out for like, I'm not gonna take that out just for one song because
that's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's also like it's a 4-piece band, or a 5-piece band, and it's like
that's gonna thin out the mix a little bit.
Well, and van and trailer kind of thing. So it's just like, it's like
space.
If we had keys, and everything like that, we had a full, rep. So that does kind of the 12-string thing, but it's like I got to make sure like that's
a creative use. I haven't seen many people use it like that.
Well, it's
surprised you're using it creatively.
Well, every time I turn it on, I just have to remember to like roll the tone knob back a little bit because it's just like it's jangly. It's just so ear piercing, like the high end on it, because it's just that digital.
Man, I'll be honest. I think that might
show
be
us that sound, would you?
A specific to Electro-Harmonix thing. Is that all their smaller casings sound more high-pitchy?
It's the digital platform they use. I think it's the digital programming that they're using because it's like this is like tone all the way up, and this is also a Jaguar, so there's a lot of high end going on. But like if you just like roll the tone back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's way more satisfying.
But like that tune is just like. It's like it doesn't sound great, but it passes if you put like an overdrive on it too. So
no, it sounds fine. It didn't sound great, and then you rolled the tone back, and then it sounded fine.
Yeah, it's fine, but I think you're right. I think it's more to do with their programming, how they're doing it, and just like some of the components. Because like, man, the old Pog, it's just like you're never gonna get that.
I know exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, from there, another Fender pedal, the Pelt Fuzz, which is another one of those things where it's like, I don't know that it's my favorite, but it's definitely like the most versatile fuzz that I've got. It does a lot of sounds and a lot of them very, very well. And so I don't have to have 3 fuzz, but I have had boards with multiple fuzz pedals on there because I'm like, I like this one for this and I like that one for that.
Care to give us a couple of examples? You don't have to show us everything. But.
So this is like, I don't know. Well, we'll see what it sounds like first. So the chord is sort of spitty, then but it's got like a mid-range knob, fuzz control, a bloom control, which is pretty cool, and the tone knob. So we can kind of fuck around with it for a minute. I mean, that's kind of like, like a Doyle Bramwell thing.
Yeah.
Thing. I mean, you get your definite dying battery sound, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, that works.
You said I can't. The glares. I can't see what the. Tell me again the 4 controls.
Okay, level, tone, bloom, which is kind of like when it opens up after, you know, the initial note, and then just like fuzz level. And then there's a mid-range switch, like a cut, boost, and then flat. And then there's like a thick knob or a thick switch, which like just kind of adds a little low end.
Okay.
So
that's cool. I'm not seeing either one of those Fender pedals before.
Man, you know, my friend Chase, who works there, hooked me up with that compressor a few years ago, and then I just like.
Looks really heavy duty.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the best made, well-designed housings I've ever seen. It's a very unique design aesthetically. I mean, it's a bit like a Strymon, you know, curves and everything like that, but really well made. I have a lot of their pedals now that I've just bought because I'm just like, oh, I'll try that out. Like they make one for it's kind of geared towards bass called the Downtown Express. It's a 4-button pedal, so it's like 4 effects in there. It's compressor, overdrive, maybe a fuzz or an octave effect or something like that. And I think I think the 4th switch is like a mute switch for your tuner, so you can just like, you know, so you can have a tuner. But it's like, that is just like if you're doing, especially if you're doing a Broadway, you know, bass gig or whatever, it's like toss it in your gig bag, you're done. It's like just that and a DI, you know, is it. Yeah, but I really like their stuff. That fuzz, it's like it works really well, especially for like recording stuff when I'm in a session. Just like, oh, okay, I've got a lot of variety there.
Yeah, that's helpful. Sure.
And then I've got this Crowther Audio dual Hotcake. Jay Joyce loves the Hotcake overdrive pedal, and I've ended up using that a lot when I work with him, and I found one that had 2 together, and I thought more is more.
I've heard that about more.
Yeah, ergo. Here we are. And it's like, I mean, it's just, you know, it's good, like high gain overdrive.
They're just independent. You can.
Well, they're independent, but you can also, when you have them both on, like, I think it's like the right side gain
feeds into the
left side gain. I don't really understand it very much. I've just got a few good sounds on there, and I'm like, oh, that works.
That's cool. I like those pedals. I've never owned one, but I've heard them, and I've played through a couple. But
yeah, it's cool. And I mean, it's just
not that double, just a single Johnny.
Well, I mean, it does the, you know, sort of like blues breaker, high gain, tube screamerish thing. You know. You know, all the overdrives kind of sound the same to me. Sorry, Zach.
I tend to try to make them sound the same on accident.
Yeah, I mean, like there's this thing that does, like it's kind of like you know, if like, oh, I need a Marshall in a box, that's what I'm going to turn on. But I like having both because it's like, especially for like I don't really care about feedback as much as most people do, because I like it and I like using it, and I just like having the option to use it a lot. So like I will usually just like, you know, solo or end of a song or whatever, it's like, oh, all of the drives, just turn them all on, just see what happens.
You know what I thought that was for a second was a Son of Kong.
Oh man, another
fucking
great
cool pedal.
Another great pedal. I've toyed with the idea of getting one, but man, they're
hard to find.
Yeah, well, they started. I think they've got a couple of there's a company making something like it now. But yeah, it's a cool thing. But
is it 69 pedals? Because they make the best King. They make a King of Clone.
Spontaneous Audio.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I checked that out. That you showed that to me is super dope.
Man, Boo brought his over here the last time he was here, and we just sat in here and we ran it through the ringer. And
so is it like the Analog Man thing?
No, it's 69 pedals or 65 pedals or something. What is the name of the company?
68.
68
right?
pedals?
I don't remember. It's 60-something pedals.
It's King of Clone?
King of Clone. It's just a King of Tone.
Oh, but it is the Analog Man. It's like cloning.
Yeah, but it's, exactly. I mean,
See,
it sounds.
I love Mike as a person, and I like a lot of his stuff. The Sunface, I think, is one of my favorite fuzz pedals. I cannot stand the King of Tone and Prince of Tone thing. She's like, I don't like two.
I didn't like the Prince of Tone when Carl brought it through here. It did like one kind of cool thing, but like I said, we ran that King of Clone through this Matchless and through this guy.
68
pedals.
68 pedals. King of Clone.
You can find them on eBay all day for like $100, man. And it's a damn good sounding $100
I think
pedal.
I saw because
they all ship from China. It takes like 2 weeks. It's like $14 a ship or something weird.
It's kind of like on what we were talking about earlier, where there's just some things that I have a limit for.
Yeah.
And one of those things is overhyped pedals.
Well, I think too. So
it's not even a hype thing. It's just a supply and demand.
issue. I'm not in total disagreement there. I think where it becomes like a really interesting dilemma for me is like I know Mike, and I know how I know that he's working hard to fill the wait list or like whatever. It's just like. And so it's like when you see guys, he's like, yeah, I mean, you're going to have the Behringer stuff. You're going to have the whatever. There's going to be people cloning your thing if they're doing something right. But it's one of those things for me. It was just like a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm not paying $450 for a tube screamer or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, okay. Or like, oh, and used. If those pop up, if you find one that pops up, or whatever, it's like, hey, I was on the waiting list for 3 years. I don't want it anymore. I found another one, whatever. It's gonna sell for like $750 or something like that, if not more, because they're still so in demand. And it's like, or a good example. Another good example is like the KTR, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that pedal, used market on that is insane. Even though there are still.
What's it up to now?
The last one I saw on Reverb was like 2 days ago, and I saw one. A guy had it listed for $1,800. That is like Centaur money, right? That's like OG.
The KTR, you can't get them for $250 anymore,
dude.
You can.
4,000 on Reverb right now
For the KTR,
the red one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: there is a dealer in Nashville who does not advertise, but he has them. Because he works with Bill. Bill Finnegan is still alive. He still makes pedals. He makes original Centaurs in the original enclosure and sells them on eBay and gives all of the money to this old lady he knows who needs help with some medical bills.
Oh, I'm sorry. $1,000 is the lowest.
Oh, $1,000.
Yeah. But there is one for $6,000.
I can find. I could if you wanted if both of you guys wanted a KTR tomorrow and you swore that you weren't going to flip it, like we could go get one for the real price. And Bill's about to do another run of like them, and it's just like, but it's one of those things.
I like the KTR better than I like the Centaur.
Well, it's exactly the same circuit. And it sounds exactly the same.
Didn't to me. I thought that the real one was like a lot harsher on the top.
I sat down with Bill with an amp running the exact same cable length into an AB box that he built with the exact same cable length on every pedal, and like we just ABC'd the silver, the gold, and the KTR, and I'm like.
Also, I mean, those early builds, there's some inconsistency even between one run.
That's very true. That's very true. But like, it is like, but as far as like at the end of the day, it is just like, it's like, no, it's the same pedal.
Right.
It's like, it's the same circuit. It's the same circuit. It's like,
I guess I've never played a Centaur through my rig. I just played it through somebody else's
and
rig.
I think that's the thing is like, and there's, it's like there's drift component values, and it's like, but like, the reason I know a lot about clones and KTRs and small builder stuff, it's like, moving on to our next pedal. The Mjolnir from Mythos Pedals, Zach Broyles, a dear friend of mine, local to Nashville.
He started slinging his stuff out of Carter, right?
He started building pedals and he was working there. Mm-hmm. And I'd been wanting to get I'd wanted like a Klon style pedal for a long time anyway. And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to get one from Zach. And I just kept dragging my feet and whatever. And then like I ended up helping him out one day. I was over at his house when he was still doing everything in the garage. And like we were just assembling pedals all day for like hours, just like trying to get ready for a production shipment. And then like after he was still he was working on, it was like still beta testing like one pedal. They got to check out, and after that, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get one. So I ended up getting the sort of, loosely clon shaped, KTR. And I think it does a special run for some company, but
looks cool.
it's very it's his take.
I like the one-off facade of the same circuit.
Yeah, and it's a take, it's his take on the clon, and I mean that guy really knows. But one of the things we were talking about, like I've asked him a lot of questions about like, pedals and stuff like that. It's like you will get component drifts. It's like this pickup in '65 sounded way different than it does right now.
Totally.
But it is starting to fail on me. It's like I'm gonna have to get it rewound or whatever. And that just is a thing that happens. So if you think about like, all right, original run of the clon Centaur probably built that like what 92, 91. All right, we're talking 30 years of if it's not been used, then it's just like festering, electrolytic acid. You've got if it's been used a lot and been shaken around, even with it being gooped up, if it's like had signal run through it over and over and over, it's like, things fail, things drift, whatever, so it's like that might be a thing that you were hearing versus like, oh, I have this brand new KTR versus this old OG clone, that may be something you heard. It's like, but also it's just like, those things shift
typically like with age, the drift always becomes more pleasant in my opinion, at least with guitars and pickups.
Depends. I mean, it's just like, there's dogs out there too. You've done 3 Amigo shows. You've played some trash guitars that are really expensive.
Yeah, that's fair.
Deer and beer.
After the Mythos pedal, where are we into? Are we into?
Let's see. That goes. So then we go into a volume pedal.
Oh, it goes back around over there.
Yeah, over the volume, in and out, and it's just the Dunlop mini volume thing.
Sure.
Out to the Superego Plus synth engine.
That thing is very cool, and you were making some awesome noises with it earlier.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of different effects. I really only use the filter effect.
I would love to hear you make some filter noises.
So the cool thing about it is, it's kind of like the freeze pedal, but like was way cooler stuff. So you can do like an auto function to where it'll just react to whatever you're playing. So.
With like a patty thing? Okay, yeah.
But you can also take the effect off, so...
It's got a very like accordion-like timbre.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
There's like a glissando effect in there. You can actually add in a dry signal too if you want.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's just great for like making your guitar sound like a synthesizer.
That's pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff.
It's really great for Western swing gigs.
Yeah, I don't do any of those either. So,
and then let's see from there. Oh, I lied. From the volume pedal. Yeah, volume pedal into the Superego, and then from there goes into that little Layla loop switcher. And I have that there for 2 reasons. One, it gives me a loop where I can add extra pedals.
Yeah, an external loop.
Yeah, like an external loop for like if I'm in a session or something like that.
Yeah, you need to throw down a couple of wah pedals or that's kind of a weird place in the chain, but
well, I mean, just like if it's something like delay or whatever, just like or something, I can send a signal out. But also it works where when I'm playing pedal steel, if I'm doing a utility thing where I have to play steel and guitar. I will take a loop. That loop I will go out to my steel volume pedal. So the board will be kind of like off to the side. And I'll still be able to use all my effects in the right order, like drives into delays and everything. And so I'm actually hitting full volume at the compressor, full volume at the drives if I'm using them.
Yeah.
And then volume pedal's going to be in a good spot before we hit delays and mods.
I didn't realize how many people use volume pedals after gain section, because that's just never how I did it, because none of the people that I knew coming up did that.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes total sense. I have never spent a second of time fooling with the volume pedal in that spot.
Yeah, that's always how I've done it. And it's just like I just do it, most gain to the least
It
gain.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then let's see, from there, so I can engage the loop. So when I'm playing steel, whenever I go switch over, I just turn it on so it engages the loop.
Does the light change color?
Yeah, it does.
Copy.
Yeah, so, and then from there into another Mythos pedal, the Oracle. This is like...
Yeah, I was looking at that. I love the way that pedal looks.
Yeah, it's really great. So
Great aesthetic.
So this is the one he was... Last time I was at Zach's place, it's been a minute, he was finishing this up. And so it's an analog delay with tap tempo, and the clock actually works, which is really nice. And very, very different from a lot of other analog. It's like, oh, hey, beer.
Welcome back to Gear and Beer.
But it's kind of like his, take on like the Ibanez 89 or 8999 Maxon, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a little bit different.
Looks way cleaner than either of those.
Well, it's true, yeah.
I don't even know what it sounds like. You used it earlier, but
So it's like,
just the aesthetic, it's great.
So I like it because you can do. You can do. Like
I like that there's only 3 knobs.
It's just that real dark analog thing, but even with like the mix cranked up, you're not getting it like. What I like
that
about
is pretty dark. That's cool.
It's real dark. Yeah. What I like about it though is like the time knob, like as far as the time, and the time knob has like a set parameters, like milliseconds, whatever. It's like maybe like 10, like maybe like 500-ish or something. I'm probably really, really horribly messing this up, and I hope he's not watching. But
I hope that he is. Let's hear from you in the comments.
Yes. Yeah. But the tap tempo actually can go slower and faster than the time. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I know he didn't make that for me specifically, but I like to think that he did. But anyway, so yeah, I'll show you.
That's pretty cool. Some very 1960s TV sound effects at the very end there.
Oh yeah, a lot of Joe Meek stuff going on right there. Yeah.
I like it.
Oh yeah, so that's.
I really just enjoy the general creative use of effects and stuff like that. There's a lot of like dudes coming up these days that are like good at the delay thing, or they're like good at the post thing, and everybody's like, oh man, so all effects in post. That's kind of like a approach I see a lot today. I don't agree with that.
Well,
because it's about the inspiration in the moment to a certain extent for parts, for good parts sometimes.
Like when I'm tracking, I'll do depending on how many mics I'm using, I'll have like, maybe like 4 lines going in. If I'm doing guitar for even just like my own stuff, you know. And I'll just have, and so before I hit the board, I'll just do a DI, and I'm like, I'll just, you know, I'll mute it while I'm recording because I don't want to hear.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear themselves clean.
No.
But
God,
I'll,
no. Please don't.
yeah. So I'll run that just in case I want to do like a, you know, reamping with a clean signal or something
Right.
like that. But I mean, most of the time, she's like, yeah, just make a fucking decision. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
it's
like
not that hard.
We're trying to sculpt. We're not trying to wipe the dust off because we haven't chiseled anything.
Yeah,
yet.
right,
Let's give me the hammer and the other thing.
Chisel.
Yeah.
For chiseling.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm back.
Yeah.
That's a great sounding pedal. I like it a lot.
It is. I really like
kind
it.
of a big footprint in my opinion, but
Yeah, but I mean, it's wide enough.
matters
like,
less to guys like you with big boards.
Yeah.
I like big boards. I have trouble justifying it to myself.
Well, I mean, like
Especially
I
as
said,
many places as I lug it.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like I've got a nice case for it. That's like I can just like drop it in. And like it's got wheels. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, and this, you know, like, and so anyway, that goes into the Strymon Volante, which is the only Strymon pedal I've ever bought. Maybe the only one I ever will buy.
Okay, that was I was going to ask you because you seem like a guy who would get into a pedal like the Night Sky. But you also probably have a collection of other pedals that can get you to the same neck of the woods.
I mean, that seems like a really cool...
I didn't even know it existed until like a week ago or something.
It seems like a really cool studio tool.
Exactly,
really,
totally not a live thing.
Don't really
Exactly
see...
the conversation we had.
I do not really see an application for me for... and also, it's just like, I think once you get into those kind of pedals, like the bigger... Like the bigger Strymon stuff, you really just need to go ahead and get a MIDI switcher. Like not like the Bob Bradshaw thing, but like you need like a Morningstar MC6 or something. And I had one of those for a while, and I tried to program it and learn MIDI CC, and
yeah, I'm out on that.
I don't have it anymore. And you do the math.
It is incredibly tedious.
It's so hard, man. I've never felt more like a failure than like trying to program one preset on a Morningstar, and it's just one of those things. It's like, again, dragging myself kicking and screaming into the digital world. In my mind, when I think MIDI, I think the soundtrack to the Oregon Trail video game we had in school.
Old school Nintendo music.
Yeah, like 8-bit music or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, so I was looking at trying to get something that would do analog flavored delay thing with a good low preamp sound.
I don't know anything about that pedal.
The Volante is great, man, because so the main thing.
Weird thing for a guy doing a podcast called Gear and Beer to say, but here we are. But at the same time, you know, everyone kiss my ass. There's so many pedals out there. How could I possibly know about all of them?
So
kiss my ass, viewers and listeners.
But not sponsors.
But not sponsors. Luckily, I'm the only sponsor, and I can't physically kiss my own ass.
Have you tried yoga?
Oh, I do it every day.
Okay. So the Volante is cool because the thing that kind of sealed the deal for me is like I was looking at like an Echarec. I had done a session in Brooklyn for an artist, and we recorded at Studio G, which is Joel Hamilton's place.
From the musical?
That
was a Hamilton musical joke. I'm sorry.
No.
And we're back.
Distant relative, I think. Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, he's got way more effects in that studio than I think I've ever seen. Like, it's insane. And I mean, it's like, and he's like good buddies with the Earthquaker guys. He's got a bunch of Earthquaker stuff. He's got a bunch of like, you know, classic Boss stuff. Like, but he's also got like, you know, Roland CE1, all that stuff. A few Echoplexes like EP1, EP2, and EP3. But he also has a small Benson Echarec Baby, which is like the smaller version of what they used on all the Pink Floyd stuff, like the David Gilmour delay like thing. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going down this rabbit hole. I was like, I want the Echarec sound because it does this real warbly, you know, delay thing that like you really don't get like an Echoplex or RE20 or anything like that.
Right.
So then Strymon comes out with this pedal, which is like Ecorec colored, and I'm like, all right, cool. So like it does sort of the Ecorec thing. It's got like 4 heads, for like input heads and repeat and playback heads, and you've got various speeds. But it also, in addition to the Ecorec thing, it'll do like a studio delay. Like if you were going to just use like a, I don't know, like an Otari 8-track or whatever, and you're just like, using it to like repeat. But it also does like a space echo thing, which is pretty cool. Like close, but like it's like,
yeah. Please show us a few examples if you don't mind. Also, we're running your amp into your cabinet. What's the speaker?
Oh, I think it's an old greenback, probably. Yeah, no, it came out on my AC30
and that's mic'd up with a 57 and a fat head.
Yeah. The cabinet is actually cooler than the speaker. Just because like
because it was Andy's.
Yeah, it was Andy's, and he gave it. He was like, I was at lunch with him. I was like, you got a 112 that I can maybe buy off of you? And he goes, no, I got one I'll give you. I'm keeping the speaker though. I was like, oh, that's fine. So he gave me this 112, and I love that guy so much, man.
He's a great player. I don't know him personally.
Oh man, he's we're overdue for a gear day, and because I'm sort of trying to get into buying like a jazz guitar of some sort, and he's got a lot of nice ones.
I bet.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So here's
I have a question about that.
Yes.
What are you calling a jazz guitar? Like a 175 or
maybe
big box?
Big box. Yeah, like probably bigger than 175. Honestly, just like, I mean, as far as like shoulder goes, like I am gravitating towards a Kessel, and which is why I want to go talk to Andy. He's got 3.
I've never actually seen a real one.
He's got 3. He's got a natural.
The Ibanez.
Oh no, the Barney Kessel.
I thought he had an Ibanez.
No,
I'm
using
Barney Kessel. Yeah, Barney Kessel's like what, from the 50s?
Yes, 50s, 60s, 70s. He's got it's the 2 4-inch. It looks like a Trini Lopez, but it's a 3 on the side. That's that.
Oh,
but it's also like a 2.5-inch body.
Also played the Birdland, right? Which you talked about earlier.
No, that was Hank Garland and Billy Bird.
Huh?
That was Hank Garland and Billy Bird.
Ah,
and Ted Nugent.
I knew, and I have played Ted Nugent's Birdland on a gig.
Please wash your hands.
He was a nice guy.
We'll talk about this
He had
later.
a lot of security.
We'll talk about this later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Did he shoot you with a crossbow?
No.
Oh,
but I'm sure if I had antlers, he would.
Yeah.
Or if you're a Democrat.
Which
I am.
I have some. I have a really great Ted Nugent story that I will not say here. I will tell you. I will tell you.
We'll talk after.
I will tell you while we're eating
afterwards.
tacos. I will not say. I would not have this recorded.
We would never do that to you.
Yeah.
Here on Gear and Beer, your secrets are safe.
So there I was. No. Yeah. So no. I think I want to get like a big box like art shop thing. I'm considering. I keep thinking one day I'm just gonna get the balls to do it, to like do the Howard Roberts mod on a 150. Just like just find one that's cheap enough, like whether it's got a pickup or not doesn't matter, and then just hack a cutaway into it and then hack another cutaway on the other side and just slap a P90 on it and call it a day, and then paint it black.
This is, you're talking about a Howard Roberts actual guitar, not the Howard Roberts
Not the Howard
Fusion.
Roberts Fusion, the 150 he actually used to have.
Phil Allen has one of those.
Oh, Paul,
great guitar.
Yeah.
And I think Jonathan Kreisberg had one that he played for a while as well.
I don't know him personally, but I do know Phil, and that's the only one I've ever played or seen.
Yeah, Michael Ward, that used to play with the Wallflowers, and Ben Harper, he had one that I was the first one I ever saw, and I was like, man, that's a cool guitar. But they're like, it's just, that's not, like, that's definitely like a later thing for Howard, of just like, oh, it's smaller, kind of thing. And I mean, who knows how involved he actually was, because like, I mean, the thing he actually designed for Epiphone was like basically an acoustic with a pickup on it.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to.
Sorry for digressing on jazz.
No,
guitars.
totally. Andy's got a Stromberg that I really want to check out, like a 400. That's pretty cool. And but that guy's just got some. He's got some choice pieces.
You need to play this 330 in the Sheridan.
I will love to
do.
But yeah, he's got some amazing. He's just got some amazing stuff over there.
Andy Reese is amazing. He's just amazing. He's a fantastic player. I love his vocabulary that he plays with on all of his gigs.
Yeah,
I like that. He's not scared to turn up 2 jazz middle fingers at any time, because people do that around here. It's taboo.
Well, he's also not scared to bring a pedal board to the Time Jumpers gig.
Nor should he be.
Yeah, he does that sometimes. It's like
I don't think I've actually seen that, but I would support it.
He usually uses the super hard on, like the ZVEX boost.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a germanium boosting. It's like anyway. Okay, so anyway.
Volante, let's hear some sounds.
Yeah. So this is like the Ecorec thing, kind of, I think. So it also has a reverb in it too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting because they have that option for one of the secondary functions on the cap. You can add spring verb onto the delays. It's an interesting and cool effect. I've never got to spend any real time with a real echo machine, so
I've had a few, and I just got rid of my Echoplex.
They become maintenance issues, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you have an EP3 or if you have an Echoplex, you send it to Brian Sowers in Portland, get him to go over it, put in new tape, you're good for another 30 years.
Oh.
Anything else like a Space Echo? If you want a Space Echo, get an Echo Fix from Australia. It's about the same price and it's brand new. You know, but what's cool about this thing is like you can add wear into the repeats, as well as like a low cut, so you can make it sound like shitty old tape, and you can overload.
Yeah, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so you can overload the input.
Same stuff
too.
on the capstan on the secondary function.
And you can so you can overload the input.
Probably like a fidelity function, essentially. What are they calling that function?
So this is like the mechanics. So
Mechanics. I just couldn't read it from here.
You know,
love that.
So this is like the record level crank too.
That breakup coming from the pedal or from your amp on the?
No, it's coming from the pedal because
cool.
I've got the record level.
Okay, yeah.
So that's like the Echoplex thing. It's like you can get that. You can kind of hear that pink one.
That's cool sounding. Say what you will about Strymon.
We're still on the Volante right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the Space Echo thing they kind of have. It's like which, I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what they're trying to do, but it's got reverb and it's got a tape delay, and it's kind of seems like it.
I found the Echo Fix you were talking about. Interestingly enough, the EFX2 is more expensive right now than the actual Space Echo.
It's also brand new components, and you won't have to repair it or send it to Brian Sowers in Portland.
Which is why you were recommending.
Yeah,
it in
it's just
the
like
first
if you.
place.
I mean, that's the thing is like if you want to spec echo like an RE201 or a 301. Just get the new one, man. Just get the Echo Fix. Like, I have a friend. I was working with Dwayne Lundy a few weeks ago up in Lexington, and he's got one that he's had, but he's had it since the '90s. Paid paid $200 for it or whatever at a yard sale, and it's great. And then we were talking about it. He's like, oh man, now if I was gonna use one now, I was gonna buy one now. It's like, nah, UA plug-in all day. just like get a control surface and just like adjust it. Like use the faders or whatever. It's like, and that's, that's the thing. It's just like I'm probably gonna get a second Volante just to have on the desk because it's like I can do everything.
Sounds great.
I mean, that's just the pedal. There's nothing else going on.
Right, that's awesome.
And then this is kind of like the studio tape delay. So if you take the reverb off, you get kind of the a little more pristine. Not quite a digital delay, but it's like
But it's still got some like nice shiny top end.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that thing, and then the giant HX effects from Line 6, which does
literally anything else that you might need.
Yeah, I mean pretty much, and I've got a few patches on it that I have I sometimes I do bass gigs, so I have a bass gig patch. So I've got a compressor, 10-band EQ, Ampeg scrambler, octave pedal.
Mm-hmm.
I did a gig in the Virgin Islands for a week a while back and brought that and nothing else. Brought that in my guitar. So I've got like the Minotaur, which is a clon, tremolo, chorus, reverb, EP3 patch.
A jack of many asses, if you will.
I mean, pretty much, dude. And it's like, and then like my Americana, and I mean, this is just one bank, It's like I'm not using it for everything, but it's got some cool sounds. I mean, like this. There's like an SDD 3000 sort of delay on there. It's pretty cool, and then that with like this weird sort of like shimmery reverb's pretty neat. It's like. I mean, it's just a lot of decay,
It's cool.
And that works if you want to, pretend you're Johnny Marr for a while. So,
and if you don't, to hell with you.
Yeah, and then
I'm just kidding, everybody.
That's all I've got here. There's a whole entire other board in my car.
I'm about to say, I'm sure there's plenty more where that came from.
Gear and beer.
So